Hi, everyone. I'm Kevin McCamey, and I'm so excited to be with you here on this night. We're going to talk about the 6 secrets of the world's highest achievers and how they can actually dramatically improve your life if you'll implement them like the other high achievers did. So let's go through and start our webinar tonight, and thank you all for being here. If you're watching on a replay, I want to thank you also for taking the time and being willing to pay attention to what your goals and your dreams are. That's why you're really here. You're not here to listen to me. You're here to find out, how can I really achieve the things that I want to achieve this year? So that's what we're going to go through in these slides and this presentation. And I want you to know that I'm here for you. And I do know how to succeed. And I am going to share those things with you. So let's get started. All right. First up, our agenda for tonight is we're going to talk about actually why most people fail. So why we all set goals, we all set New Year's resolutions, we all have dreams we'd like to achieve, but why do many of us fail to achieve those? Next, we're going to talk about the science and the study that the High Performance Institute did on why some people are actually able to achieve great things. Then I'm going to tell you about my surprising results when I implemented these habits, the habits of high performance, and then what your game plan is, and also a giveaway for you at the end. So stick around till the very end to find out about the giveaway. All right, so what do the world's highest performing and most successful, most fulfilled people really do differently? That's the main question. You're here to learn the secrets, right? So what does they do? Well, it's not easy, is it? As we've already seen, many people experience burnout or exhaustion or discouragement or overwhelm, or maybe all 4 of those things, unfortunately. And it's hard, it's difficult to actually achieve our goals because we get started and then we come up against a roadblock or a distraction or something stops us. It gets difficult and we quit. And we don't achieve the things that we've said we were going to do, that we've wanted to do for years. So how do the world's most successful people overcome these things? And how can they really do it? We're going to find out. Now, as we go through this, I want you to ask yourself these questions. Is improving your life and your performance in that, is it really important to you? If it's not important to you, then stop watching this and go do something that you enjoy. But if you have a goal or a dream or a business you're trying to start or a business you're trying to keep running in this difficult economic time, then stay here and ask yourself the next question. What could happen if you would really focus on improving your performance, your productivity? What could happen? And how might that improvement actually help you and your family, your team, your career, the other people that work with you, and your overall life goals? So consider those questions as we're going through this. So what's not working? Why do most people fail, like we talked about a minute ago? So most of us, we start, right? We get a job, we get a career, we might start a business. We work really hard. We're passionate about what we're doing, and we focus on our strengths. We even practice a lot. And sometimes we're even grateful and we stick to it. But unfortunately, it's not always enough. Many of the businesses that get started every year actually fail. They don't make it. And so how do those successful people keep going? And how do we reach that next level of abundant success and avoid the burnout and fatigue and overwhelm and still have time for those relationships with our family, with our friends that we really desire. That's where we want to spend our time, right? And so, how can we have a successful career and still have those great relationships where we can really be present? So, what is the science of high performance? Again, there was a study done by the High Performance Institute, and it was started by Brendan Burchard and some of his other partners. And he wrote a book about this study called The High Performance Habits, which you may have seen advertised in your local bookstore, on the internet, etc. So you may have even heard of him. So here's all of his credentials. He's the CEO of the High Performance Institute. You can read all of those things. You can find out all about Brendan. Just look him up on the internet. He's the one that founded the study and got it started. And the study really began to answer these questions. How come some people succeed more quickly and they're able to sustain it? And then secondly, why do some people achieve success and they're able to be happy? They're actually happy. And other people achieve success, but they're miserable. They've gone and built a business or done something, but they're not happy still. And then finally, what really motivates people to reach for that next level, to take the next step, to set that goal, to believe in that dream and go for it? And what kind of habits and training and support do they need in order to really improve? So you can see here the basics and the evidence of what they did in the survey. They did surveys, they did interviews, they did coaching sessions, all these things with all these people listed here. And out of all that data, they found out these powerful things. There were 100 performance variables that were really important and were very common to all the people who were high achievers. And there were just 6 of those that were really identified as being deliberate. You could actually observe somebody doing them. They were changeable and they were effective across all domains, all careers, if you will, all types of people. 6 habits. And the 6 habits are these right here. Perhaps you've heard of them if you've read the book or listened on the internet to one of Brendan's seminars. So, personal habits of seeking clarity, generating more energy, not spending energy, generating it, raising necessity, and the social habits of increasing productivity, developing more influence, and demonstrating courage. We're going to go through those in detail tonight. So the High Performance Institute defined high performance this way. They said these high performers, as we've examined them, they are succeeding beyond the standard norms. They're not just average, they are way up here at the top level. And they're doing it consistently over the long term, not just for 90 days or for a quarter or for a year or a couple of years, over the long term, because the study went over several years. And they're also actually improving, or at least maintaining, their own well-being and their positive relationships. The high performers use words like this. They were fully engaged. They were joyful. They were confident, courageous. They were more productive. High performers just exist on a different plane than the rest of us. And they do that because they follow those 6 habits that I told you about. So, what the study also found was that high performance was not strongly correlated with age or gender, nationality, not even intelligence or personality or strengths or being more creative, and especially not years of experience or even how much money they made. It didn't have anything to do with those things. It wasn't even about strengths. What they found that was very common besides these 6 habits was that the high performers were always asking themselves, what is the next right action I need to take? How can I be of better service to my clients, to my customers? How can I grow into a person who can lead others to deliver that service even better? It was always focused going out, not just what was in it for them. So, my shift and my surprising result, believe it or not, this person that is waving his hands in front of you and talking a mile a minute was one time very focused on his career, felt like he was an expert, and I was actually traveling all over the country, training and coaching with medical professionals and doctors and nurses. And I was gone all the time. And I was so involved in that business. I wasn't home like I really wanted to be, but I was building my business and keeping it established and working it. And it came to a point that I felt like I knew everything and I got complacent. I thought I knew everything, so I quit trying to learn and I quit trying to grow. And I was kind of an expert in this specific area that I was training and coaching in. But I wasn't continuing to grow and learn more like I should have been. I was really just existing. I wasn't really living. Have you ever felt like that? It's totally different now for me. But that's because this event happened in my life. My father, unfortunately, was just very quickly diagnosed with pneumonia, was immediately put in the hospital, and within 4 days, he was gone. It was too far gone for the doctors to be able to help him. And I remember when they wheeled his body out of the hospital room, and I was left with 3 things: his wallet, his phone, and his car keys. And you may think those things are insignificant, but to me, I had a set of those too. I would check my pockets every single day before I left the house or left the hotel, wherever I was, to make sure I had those things. I had to have my phone to stay in touch with my family at home or the places where I was going to work. I had to have my wallet with my driver's license so I could get on an airplane and fly somewhere or pay for things. And I had to have my keys so I could drive there if I was driving there or if I was just driving to the airport. Those were things that I had to have with me in order to do my job. And it suddenly became apparent to me that I was focusing only on my career and not the people who loved me, who were my family, my wife, my kids. And it was a revelation to me to wake me up and make me reevaluate what my priorities were. So I started doing that. I started attending seminars. I read books like The High Performance Habits and others. I started journaling every day and finding out more about myself and what I really wanted to do instead of just what I thought I had to do. What was I really passionate about? And what was I becoming more clear that I really want to do in my life? And these are just some of the things that happened. I had a whole new level of self awareness about what I wanted and how I was going to proceed. I found more clarity and I found a real purpose in life. My health improved dramatically because I changed my eating habits. I started exercising every day, and I even changed my sleep habits. I got more productive on my priorities and focused on those, and I made sure that I established and started developing my relationships. So I was more connected and closer and felt the love of my wife and my family. And I feel compelled to share these secrets with you. And that's why I'm doing this webinar training, because I want you to know that I was in a situation maybe similar to what you are in. And I was able to change that dramatically and reinvent my life and make it so much better and so much improved. So, what are the 6 habits of high performance again, and why are they important to you? And how can you personalize them to utilize them in your life? So, ask yourself this. We've looked at this already. How did the high performers get this way? How did they learn about the habits? Maybe like you are right now. How did they take them and develop them? And how did they keep growing and succeed long term, not in just the short term? So, what do successful people do? Well, the study also showed that they sought training or counseling or coaching. They practiced those deliberate habits and became more successful the more they practiced them, the more they implemented them in their own lives. And they started to experience breakthroughs, just like you can. So, what are the habits again? The first habit is to seek clarity. So, if you haven't already been taking notes, I urge you to get a paper and a pen and write down these questions that I have displayed for you. And really think about this as we go into this time and look at this in the next 90 days of your life. How could you implement these habits in your life and start to see some real progress? So ask yourself, do you know what you really want your life to look like? Have you ever closed your eyes and tried to think, in a year or in 3 years, this is what I would like to be doing? And really visualize that. If you do nothing else after tonight, do this exercise. Get out your paper and pen and start to write down what you would like your life to look like. Where are you going to go? Where are you going to visit? What are you going to be doing for a career? Who are you going to have as a major relationship, and how are you going to make that the deepest relationship possible? Think about those things and then ask yourself, how can I get started on that tomorrow? So, whatever your future goal may be, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, How can you take one step tomorrow to move closer to that goal? All right, our next habit is to generate energy. So again, write this question down. Do you really feel extraordinary levels of physical energy, mental energy, and emotional energy? I hope you do, because this is where everything else comes from. This is the foundation. I used to think when I first started working out to improve my health that I was going to work out and expend my energy and then not be able to perform at my career and not be able to serve the way I wanted. I was totally wrong about that. When I started working out, I figured out I actually increased my physical energy. I wasn't fatigued as quickly as I used to be. I had more mental energy, and I was so much more excited about life that my emotional energy was leaps and bounds above where it used to be. So, what is something that you could do tomorrow that would allow you to increase your energy in all these areas, or at least in one of them? Could you start taking a walk, or could you, if you already exercise, maybe you could start reading a new book that would be helpful for you. Maybe you could learn a new skill, or just sit down with your wife or your husband or your partner and ask them, how is your day to day? And how can I be a better partner for you? Which one of those things will you do tomorrow? The next thing is to raise your necessity. Ask yourself, why is it important for me to accomplish this dream or goal right now? Why is it important? As I told you before, I really feel compelled to share these strategies with you because they helped me so much. I don't want to be the only one that knows about them. And I want you to know and be able to change your life for the better also. So, why would it be important for you to accomplish the things that you've set aside to do this next year or in the next 90 days, whatever your goal may be? And then, how will you increase your productivity in doing those things? Here's a tip. When you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. You may have heard that before, right? And what does that mean? Well, I figured out when I love doing what I do now as a coach, it doesn't feel like work. It almost feels like play, even though it's totally serious and lots of fun. And so, what is it that you are really passionate about that you would like to take hold of and actually accomplish? Think about that for a minute. How much more productive could you actually be if you really wanted to work in that arena? Maybe you're at a job or a career where you could simply shift and work in a different department or a different project that you really cared about, and you would enjoy going to work so much more. So ask yourself that question and figure out, how could I make a shift to do that? Next is to develop influence. Develop more influence does not mean to just tell people what to do. Doesn't mean that at all. Developing influence means, how can I or how can you be the best role model for others that you are leading? For instance, if you're leading a team at work, how can you inspire them? How can you challenge them? How can you lead them in a better way that they really want to go with you? Or maybe at home with your kids, how can you become the role model that they really want you to be so they can look up to you and tell their friends about you and how spectacular you are. And then finally, how are you going to demonstrate courage? Ask yourself, do you have the courage it takes to take these actions on your intentions, on your goals, on your dreams? These actions that I'm talking about, just the little step that you could take tomorrow. Do you have the courage to do that? This is one that often stops many of us. Again, we come up against a difficulty, an obstacle. It gets really hard and we quit. Do you have the courage to keep going when that happens? And do you have the courage to start? And start small if you need to. You don't have to accomplish the big goal that's going to take a year or 3 years or 5 years tomorrow. You just have to take a step in that direction, and another step, and another step, and another step. And before you know it, after a year of taking 3 steps a day, you've taken over 1,000 steps towards that goal. So you can do it. But ask yourself, do you have the courage, or do you need some support for that? So here's what your game plan needs to be. What is your game plan for success to achieve long-term success? Again, ask yourself, get really clear about this. Who do you really want to be? And why is it important to you? So this is coming back to those personal goals of seeking clarity and raising the necessity so that it's really important. You've got a really big why you want to do this. And then what is your plan to begin living into that person? What are those milestone steps and stepping stones, those small stepping stones that are going to lead to the milestones that lead to the big goals and you finally accomplishing that in your life? That's what your plan is. And really examine why you're doing it. Some people, it's because they're feeling pain. They're feeling like, hey, I'm here in this place. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be at this job. I don't want to be in this situation. I don't want to live in this town. And they feel like they need to get out because they're feeling pain. So that can be a why for some people. Some other people will feel stuck. They're just not sure how to move forward. They've tried before, but they haven't succeeded, and so they think they don't know, and they're looking for some guidance. And then finally, there's another group of you that are ambitious, and you have a great desire to achieve the next challenge in your life. And you really want to do that. Any of these things can be your why or something similar. It's important mostly not what it is, but that you figure out what it is and you allow that to fuel you to proceed and move forward. So if you're really ready for your next level of success, ask yourself, do you have other people that are counting on you? Maybe your family, team members, employees. Would you like to get there faster? Would you like to really accomplish this dream or this project or this goal this time? Even though you've tried before and failed, would you like to really accomplish it this time? Well, if you would like help in that, then use this QR code and register for my live training and coaching Q&As. I'm going to be doing them on Fridays here in the coming weeks. on a weekly basis, 11 a.m. Pacific time. Just take your phone and hover over this QR code or check the link that I'll add to the comments after the broadcast and register for the live training. I'm going to be sharing with you more details about the specifics that I used to achieve the things I've achieved, and more specifics of high achievers use and how they do it. So I look forward to seeing you at my next live training on January 6th, and look forward to answering your questions then and hearing about the goals that you have for your life. Thanks so much, and have a great evening.